Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to both the physical and the digital tiny room today. I am Michael, the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am here in the tiny room with the original glop. It's Rachel.
Hello, everybody.
That's the gorgeous ladies of podcasting.
Oh, thank you very much.
I
was looking for the F there.
No, I've given you a little wink there.
Thank you.
A little old-timey wink. But don't worry for all of those Ben fan out there. He's also here with us. But digitally, say hello, Ben.
My mother wasn't worried. She knew where I was. It's fine.
Benjamin, I know for a fact that your mother does not listen to this podcast.
She doesn't, because if she did, she'd fucking smack me around. No, it's just as well. The amount of cursing that's done by me on this podcast is really something that a Catholic mother cannot handle.
Ben, you've really toned it down, though, in recent years. We've been quite proud of you. Ben!
Yeah, I've had to, yeah.
Ben, we have Rachel back.
We have Rachel back in the tiny room. Glop.
Yeah.
I'm
the original,
bringing Rachel back.
The OG, the OG glop.
The OG glop.
OG glop. I mean, It's not a very flattering word, glop.
It's not.
To be fair, we probably could have come up with something better. We probably could have.
Ben, I was under pressure.
I know.
We were in the car.
You did well for someone under pressure. You did.
Ben, I don't like thinking things up before I have to say them. I like to just think them up and they come out and there they are.
You're Michael, off the cuff, second name redacted because we're on public podcasting.
Ben, you say my second name almost every week. Ben, do your special intake of breath to signify the start of the theme.
Okay, hang on. I didn't let you finish. Okay. Everybody should.
All right, Kanye, calm down.
I'm going to let you finish.
Ben, do your special intake of breath to signify the start of the podcast theme music. Yeah. Benjamin.
Yeah.
There has been quite a lot of news in the last couple of days.
It's been a busy couple of days, Michael. Couple of days.
Let's blast through the news.
Go on then. Lead us down the merry path of news of the week.
Because we have a topic to get to, Ben, so let's blast through the news. Benjamin.
Yes.
We saw the first images of Batwoman.
It looks like... It was good until the cowl. Don't like the cowl.
What's wrong with the cowl?
It's very big and blocky. Very, very... Kilmer Batman. Don't like it.
Oh, interesting.
Don't like it.
That is interesting.
It's big and looks way... I don't know what it is, but it's just weird. It's big. I
think Ruby Rose might have a big head.
That's possibly it, and far be it from me to criticize a woman based on the size of her head.
I did not criticize her for having a big head,
I think...
Ben.
Maybe he likes big
heads.
heads.
I'm into big heads.
I said far from me to criticize. I didn't say
when I was a child, Ben. When I was a child, I dreamt of going out with a lollipop. That's not true.
Did you have a big head when you were a child?
What do you mean when I was a child? Quite a big head.
Yeah. Okay. So generally speaking,
yes.
It just seems like the cowl is kind of a bit fake compared to the rest of the suit, and the cape looks a little bit like something you'd buy from a mid-range Halloween website.
Here we go. Ben, you're exactly the type of person I want to have beef with here, because the most common complaint I've seen about the costume is that it looks like a cosplay.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's a promo shot, obviously. So there's...
Well, here's my point, Ben.
Yeah.
I think it's time to retire the phrase, that looks like a cosplay.
Because cosplay is very good now, and it could actually
a lot of cosplayers have the artistic skill, time, energy, and often the budget, Ben, that would make like a mid-level TV show weep with envy.
Yeah, back in the days, the early 2000s probably look at that now. I can imagine Smallville's costume department looks at what's happening in the world these days and goes, "Oh my god,
yeah,
what
we used all the leather jackets."
Yeah,
Smallville was responsible for the early 90s leather jacket shortage.
No, I'm going to be coming back to that in a while.
Rachel, what did you think of her lady costume?
I have just seen it now, just before we started recording the pod, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, so
and
shut up, Ben.
She looks great.
Yeah, she looks great, Ben, with her
Love
normal sized head.
No, I didn't see the cowl, but...
No, the cowl is the headpiece.
The cowl is the headpiece.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. It didn't stand out to me as...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right.
So
well, let's move on
cool,
then,
guys. Yeah.
Now that we've agreed on that.
Podcasting gold, ladies and gentlemen.
Benjamin.
Podcasting gold.
Speaking of the DC TV universe, no doubt you've seen the first episode of Titans.
No doubt you know I haven't, Michael, you sly dog. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things.
Look, Ben, I've done you a favour and I've watched it.
Oh, excellent, Michael, excellent. Do fill my head with your opinions.
I don't know what conceit we have to use here. Did I fly to America or did I get DC? I paid for DC streaming, Ben.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not an RTE then?
No, it's not an RTE.
Oh, okay.
You won't find
Not
it
this
on...
time.
You won't find
Next
it
week.
on the
Next
radio
week.
television. I don't know if it'll ever be on broadcast television, Ben. Will it?
TG Carr is probably in talks to get the rights there, Osquelga.
Are you doing the Irish voices?
Of
Yeah.
all the
Of
characters.
all the characters.
Yeah. Like the old Russian dubs.
Instead of fuck Batman, it's Hirkish far skihan lahar. It's one of those things,
Good.
you know. It's going to be
like
great.
6 people will find that funny. Benjamin.
And those 6 people are welcome. Yeah, go on anyway. Tell me more about Titans.
Benjamin, it's
Yes.
quite good.
Oh, well, that's good news, Michael. That's good news.
Yeah.
DC needs a win.
I
DC
think
needs a win.
they might have a win on their hands. I mean, it is excessively dark and edgy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very dark, Ben.
It's very
And
DC then.
Very edgy.
Very DC then.
Which is funny because for me, Ben, my familiarity with the Teen Titans is from the animated series. Do you ever worry that when we're doing a podcast we pronounce so many words incorrectly on purpose that people might think we're idiots? Yeah. I just realised there that I think I pronounce at least one word incorrectly every sentence. Sorry, every sentence.
Sentence.
It's a conceit, ladies and gentlemen. When Michael was a young man dating a lollipop, he realised that most hard candies find it quite hilarious when you mispronounce words, and as a result of that, it became an affectation that Michael utilises every single day.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's mean.
Cyberbullying?
Cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying.
Stop cyberbullying me, Ben.
Cyberbullying.
Benjamin,
Yes.
it's very dark and edgy.
Yeah.
And my experience with the Teen Titans is from the animated series, which, as you know, is not very dark or edgy.
Neither of those things.
It's very cute.
As a
It's very
general rule.
cute, yeah. And,
Very cute.
I yet enjoyed it, Ben.
Okay.
Raven in particular is very interesting. Robin, not annoying.
That's important, because I was very worried that Robin would just be very annoying and edgy and twerpy.
He is pretty edgy. Everyone's edgy.
Okay, we can't help that. Tell me something, Michael. There's no hint to a cyborg or something like that.
There's Beast Boy.
No, there's a Beast Boy.
Beast Boy is a character, Rachel.
I know, but it just sounds funny. It sounds like a name you'd see on Grindr.
It probably is.
Beast Boy.
I
live with my mum.
I wouldn't see it on Grindr, obviously, but other people might.
Other people might, Michael.
Ben, if you remember, one of the biggest criticisms of the show was the costumes.
The costumes were rough.
Yeah.
Rough around the edges.
As it turns out, on screen, they look great.
Oh, well, that's good.
Even Starfire, who was probably the most hated, looks fine. I think it's the way it's shot, it's quite dark. There's a kind of muted bluish colour palette.
Okay.
So her purple ensemble and her shocking pink hair really stand out.
I think it's the fur coat that people took major objection to, or it wasn't fur, was it like snake skin or faux
No, it's
snake
fur.
skin?
It's fur.
Yeah, I think that's largely what people took.
I think that's a plot point. That's going to make sense. What I really was amused by was that they have... It looks like she's going to be a space alien.
Okay, well, that's good.
Who can inhabit bodies. I think she has inhabited the body of like a prostitute, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And that's how she's ended up in that rig out.
Okay.
I don't like the way this rig out is being described, because it sounds like something I'd wear. Fake fur coats and snakeskin clothes.
Yeah, well,
Rachel,
maybe she's inhabited my body.
No,
are you an alien from outer space?
Ben, that's not something I'm willing to discuss here on the podcast.
I think I might have to edit out me whispering she's black.
I think I might have.
I don't think that painted me in a good light.
You definitely have to edit that out. That has to come out.
So Ben, it's pretty good though. They've had her body swap into the body of, I think the character's name is Corinne Anders.
Yeah. Okay.
Corey Anders.
Okay, very good.
Because Starfire's name is Coriander, famously.
Yeah.
It's kind
Coriander, Michael. Coriander.
And stop pronouncing things incorrectly on purpose, Ben. That conceit has passed.
No, but that's... okay, never mind. Moving on from there, Michael. Any others?
Yeah.
Would you recommend it? Better or
I would,
worse
Ben.
than 2016's Saban's Power Rangers?
Oh, we're back to that, are we?
Yeah.
No, it's much better than that. It's a TV show, so it's hard to compare them like for like, but it is much better.
Sure.
Give it
Okay,
a look.
good. What's next from there, Michael? Moving on from there.
Well,
So
I don't know.
Titans-
You choose next, Ben.
Titans is go, and then Michael, you and
Hello.
I, you and I have often discussed the subscription service Netflix.
We have been.
Netflix, and their take on some of our favorite superheroes.
Some of your favorite superheroes, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
And some of the worsties.
And some of the worsties. Speaking of worsties, Rachel, we have one less worstie returning to our subscription service because they've only gone and fisted Ironfist. It's done.
Yes!
They fisted him.
Yes! Yes! Goodbye, you whiny asshole.
Oh,
Yeah.
Poor Iron Fist.
Oh,
Poor
Oh,
Iron
come
Fist. Poor Iron
Come
Fist.
on.
So all that interesting hard work that they put into kind of changing the character and shaking it up was all for naught.
Well, it's a bit early to say that because he could well just be a secondary character in Luke Cage and Daredevil and Defenders if they ever get another shot at it, which I don't think they will.
I don't think they will.
I would
Fist ruined that for me.
Well, he did. Well, Defenders wasn't great just
No.
all around. It kind of ruined itself.
Yeah, Defenders was 4 different tones that tried to do one show together and it didn't work. They made Daredevil quippy. It was weird.
4 different tones and only 2 of them are good.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing Punisher put into the rotation for a possible Marvel Knights series that might take the place of Defenders if they're going to phase all that out. I think you might see Marvel Knights because we're heading back towards kind of more serious territory with Daredevil. We're heading back to more serious territory with Jessica Jones. We've got no more bloody Iron Fist. And Punisher would slot in quite well with Jessica Jones and
I bet you would.
Daredevil.
Yeah, old sexer.
Mike.
Ben, I have been watching a TV show called Killjoys. Have you ever heard of it?
It's the one with the good lady ghost from Ant-Man
Hannah
and the
John
Wasp.
Kamen.
Yeah.
And Sean or Aaron Ashmore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also known as Iceman.
No, I don't think it is Iceman. I think it's the other one.
Oh, is it his brother? It's his brother. Okay.
I find if you just call them Sean or Aaron Ashmore, he deals with a lot of the mix-ups.
Can we just call them Sharon Ashmore?
Sharon Ashmore, yes.
Can we just call him that?
Problem pronouncing his name there.
No, Sean or they're twins.
Sean or Aaron.
I
Sean
thought you were
or
just
Aaron
having
Ashmore.
struggling
But
to say the end of a word.
And
I really...
in that show, prostitutes are called sexers.
They're called sexers.
Yeah. Why don't you just take use of one of my sexters upstairs?
Well, do you know that for our original band name, when we were trying to think of band names, someone in my band, who will remain nameless, wanted to call the band Cadwell Jones and the Sexers.
Who was it? Was it Dr. Cadwell Jones?
I don't know. One
Sounds
of us
like
anyway.
sounds like
Cadwell Jones and the Sexers. Wow, he was
he was ahead of the
something.
curve.
ahead of the curve as always.
Look, Ben, I'm not saying watch Killjoys because it's not empirically good, but it's enjoyable schlock.
It's good, enjoyable. Sure, we need a bit of enjoyable schlock as you go along.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's about time we say a fond farewell to Iron Fist and his shenanigans.
Not that fond over
No.
here, Ben, in the tiny room, by
Get
the
out
look
of
on
it.
Rachel's face.
Get out of it. Explain
Today there
Kung
was
Fu to
a-
Colleen Wing. Would you get out of it? She has her own dojo.
Actually, speaking of Colleen Wing, she posted her goodbye video today to all the
did she?
fans. Yeah,
All the
posted her
fans.
goodbye video.
Oh, one of them.
Oh well,
All the fan.
The
Your
two
mom.
fans. The two fans. Yeah, she has poor taste in pop culture. It's true.
This podcast and Iron Fist.
and Iron Fist. It could have gone better. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing it kind of phased out. I'm looking forward to seeing, what's that guy's name? Danny? No.
Danny
not
Rand.
Danny Rand.
But the guy that plays him, what's his name?
Danny Rand.
Finn Jones.
Finn Jones. I'm looking forward to seeing him kind of phased out slowly. I have never enjoyed quite as much as. Do you remember the panel for Defenders about a year and a bit ago? I think it was at
Yes.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
And Finn Jones announced that Iron Fist was coming back for season 2, that they'd just been confirmed. And my favourite reaction ever is Luke Cage turns and away from the mic goes, "Really?" And it's still my favourite moment ever, because everyone on that panel was looking at Iron Fist going, "Why are you here?"
Ben, I'm really enjoying the fact that you're using their superhero names to describe them at a Comic-Con panel. It's
I can't remember their actual names. I'm sorry.
Finn Jones and Mike Colt. Ben, we do a podcast on this topic every week. Why are you always surprised?
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm allowed to call them Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
Yeah, Rachel can do it if she wants. Anyway, Ben, speaking of people getting the sack.
Go on.
I'm referring to Iron Fist here. Yes. James Gunn got the sack. Do you remember that?
James Gunn got a big old sacking. Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, he was bloody let go from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. Which by all accounts seems to be getting a very hard reboot in the comics. They're going to kill off the original roster, which may pave the way for many characters to be removed from bloody Guardians of the Galaxy territory for the films.
Actually, look, Ben,
it's interesting.
The comics have become quite reactionary.
Yes,
the comics used to lead the way in storytelling for the movies, but now the comics are reacting to what's going on in the films.
Absolutely, it's
which
kind
I
of
think
essential.
Ben is going to lead to an Ouroboros type situation,
where the serpent eats its own tail.
Exactly.
Very good, Michael. Does that get us points?
You're not the only one who went to college, Ben.
You got me. You got me good with your yeah. Oh, you're not the only one in education. Boom.
What's James Gunn doing now?
James Gunn now has bounced back. He's taken on, I suppose, what would be a similar job for DC. He's going to be the man at the helm of Suicide Squad 2.
Ben, that strikes me as a great idea.
It strikes me as a great idea for several reasons, Michael. First of all, he does witty team dynamics very, very well.
He does.
He cares about his characters.
That's true.
And he writes a fairly decent plot. And, as an added bonus, he and Jared Leto have some kind of feud. And Jared Leto has said that he would not like to sign on to Suicide Squad 2 if James Gunn gets the role.
What's his feud with Jared Leto?
I don't know. They have some kind of spat in a past project or something like that, and they don't get on.
I am over Jordan Catalano.
That is amazing. Well, Ben, I would like you to do some investigative journalism and find out what that spat is about.
Yeah, sure, but it's great news because he has gotten that job, so hopefully we'll see no more Jared Leto Joker.
Well, he's writing it, isn't he? He's not necessarily directing it yet.
He's in talks to have serious, quite possibly going to direct it as well.
I think that could be great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very good. And apparently he's taking a very new tone. It's a fresh tone with it as well. So we're taking David Ayer and we're saying sayonara Ayer, and that's how it's going to go. Which I'm perfectly okay with because I thought Suicide Squad 1 was a very poor movie. Very poor movie.
It wasn't very good at all.
So I'm looking forward to a bit of a gun show. A gun show. Looking forward to a gun show.
2 tickets to a gun show.
Yeah.
Well done, Rachel. Rachel just punched the mic there doing a gun show.
I'd forgotten the tiny room was so tiny.
It's very small in here.
It's very small for grown adults.
But yeah, so I'm tentatively looking forward to that.
Me too, Ben. I think you're right.
It's going to be good. I think that's it for news this week, Michael.
Let's do a seamless segue into our main topic then, Ben. No, if we don't have a main topic theme music. Benjamin.
Oh, yes.
All of us, barring those grown in vats, were teens once.
Yes.
And when we were teens, we often thought that things were cool or edgy or modern.
Real cool cats in comics and culture.
And sometimes, Ben, those things stick with you for your whole life.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. So they can have a lasting impact on you. And you remember them, often, Ben, you remember them as being very good things.
Yes.
And then you make a mistake, Ben. You make a mistake akin to Lot at the town of Sodom or Gomorrah.
Are you just intentionally... Have you secretly told a bunch of people in a classics society about the podcast and now you want to impress all your new classics buddies and biblical scholars? Is that
so? Like Lot at Sodom and or Gomorrah, you look back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't look back, Michael.
You should never look back.
Very much.
Yeah, go on. You ruined my
very
bit
much
there.
like
Just
Orpheus
tread all over
and
it.
Eurydice. You should never look back because you lose your wife to the underworld. Or
you'll turn to salt.
Or you'll turn it into a condiment.
Or you'll realise that the crow is shit.
Which is the most true of all those statements.
Yeah. Let's maybe segue into that. Rachel, what did you watch?
Oddly, I watched 1994's The Crow.
I've spoiled that a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
a little
I do
bit. That's
apologise.
all right. Look, free-flowing ideas flow here now.
That's what we are.
I was a teenager in the 90s.
Let's play our favourite game on the podcast. Ben, what age were you in 1994?
I was 3?
You were 3. I was 15.
I was 3.
You're
15.
considerably older than Ben.
I was 3.
Older than Ben.
Oh, Rachel, you don't look older than me.
Thanks, Ben. I know.
Yeah.
Ben, say something nice about me.
Your beard's looking well.
I'm about to shave it, actually.
I've been enjoying your classical references throughout the podcast today. You know, I feel a little bit encroached upon. I'm a little bit jealous, and you know that's fine. I don't mind. Like if you're just gonna take my one role and do it better, that's fine.
Look, let's talk about The Crow.
Let's talk about The Crow. Right. So, in 1994, I was in my mid-teens. I'd say it's about 14 or 15. I didn't see The Crow at that stage because it was an 18s.
Oh,
I don't know if it had a cinematic release here.
Do you want to tell our international listeners what an 18s is?
An 18s means that you must be over 18 to watch it. I believe it is called an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
For our international listeners in America.
Exactly.
Based on James O'Barr's 1989 comic book. Alex Proyas decided to take that idea and run with it.
Who's Alex Proyas?
He was the director of The Crew.
I have never heard of him.
Yeah, well, after The Crow, he kind of didn't do a whole lot because when someone dies on set,
oh
yeah,
very famous,
makes you a little bit
a pariah.
A bit of a pariah, yeah.
It does tend to tank one's career.
It does. I mean, you know, we all know that. In our careers, if someone died, we'd, probably never work again.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't work again.
Yeah, so I suppose it's timely to talk about The Crow because Halloween is approaching and it is set the night before Halloween.
Is this The Crow with Jason Momoa?
No, it is The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Oh, okay, son of
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I guess the first I heard of it was probably on MTV News with Kurt Loder, because he was talking about the untimely passing of Brandon Lee on set when he was shot.
He was shot with a blank,
With
wasn't
a blank, yeah.
With the blank came out of the gun and
the
killed
blank
him.
came out of the gun and killed him.
What?
Yeah, he was shot on set filming the kind of the opening scene of the film. Now they had filmed most of it and they had his stuntman fill in, which is very obvious towards the end of the film. Yeah. When you stop seeing his face. But yeah, so it begins on October the 30th. We see two young lovers, Ben. Now, this might pique Ben's interest. We see two young lovers preparing for their wedding.
And are they a heterosexual couple, a homosexual couple?
They are heterosexual, dark-haired, pale-skinned.
Oh my.
Ben, it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Ladies in kind of slip dresses, men in black coats, that kind of vibe. Now, you were only 3, so...
You were in dinosaur pajamas.
You were in dinosaur pajamas.
Those were very sexy at a time.
So I'm going to ask you to stop this now.
Yeah, we'll leave that there, Ben.
But Mick and I were swanning around town in our long black coats at the time. We weren't.
No.
We were in our school uniforms.
Doing
our junior cert.
Yeah, I had spots and glasses.
Oh, cute. But yeah, so it's the night before Halloween in this town is called Devil's Night.
Ooh.
And Devil's Night is basically what are those films where everybody goes mad for one night?
A Bacchanalia.
Yeah, but there's a film based on that where everybody kind of goes nuts for one night.
A bit of a purge.
The Raid, not the Raid, the Purge. Good one, Ben.
Purge.
Yeah, kind of a bit like that, where people kind of go mad on that night. So anyway, these two young lovers are preparing for their wedding because they're getting married on Halloween. Edgy.
Edgy.
Very edgy.
My mum has asked me not to get married on Halloween.
Please don't, Rachel.
Isn't she in for a surprise in 2 weeks? No. So anyway, they're preparing for their wedding. It's all real romantic and real cute. And then some boldies break into their house.
Good use of podcast lingo.
They have been served an eviction notice.
Oh, very timely in Ireland.
Very timely in Ireland, yeah. Castle Rack Rent, where we now live. Literary reference, Ben. You having that? Mariah Edgeworth. I went to college too.
I can see that.
So anyway, boldies come in. They've been served an eviction notice because the head boldie wants to take over this part of town, and they're harshing his buzz by not moving out because he wants to knock down their building.
The young people.
So anyway, he comes in and he attacks Shelley, who is the lady. Eric's lady.
Oh no, not Eric's
Draven.
lady.
Eric Draven he was always destined to be a superhero.
He was, in fairness. So they break in, and he comes in while they are ransacking his house.
A house, yes.
and engaging in non-consensual intercourse with his woman.
No.
Troublesome.
Okay, so
troublesome.
That's troublesome.
Wait. Is Eric interrupted while having non-consensual?
No.
Eric interrupts the boldies.
Eric interrupts the boldies.
It's a classic man motivated by the rape and murder of his woman.
Yeah.
Story. It's an early fridging. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Early
fridging. So anyway, he comes in and he sees this happening, and of course there's 4 boldies, and he's only one man.
Yeah.
A struggle ensues. He is shot. Now this is where he died in real life, and he falls out the window to his death. And Shelley succumbs to her injuries 30 hours later.
Oh, Shelley dies second.
She dies as well, yeah. She dies second. And she is, while she is dying, she is comforted by a street child.
Oh, an urchin.
A little urchin, yes.
An Oliver Twist type.
A little, yes, but a wee...
Hello, sir.
A wee girl, Sarah.
Oh, a wee girl, okay.
A wee girl,
I see you've been non-consensually beaten up. What a shame.
So she goes with her to the hospital, and the poor girl is dying, and this little kid, her mother is a drug addict.
Okay, a drug addict.
And cares little for her daughter. Instead cares more for drugs and drinking and
very timely
having the party life.
Yeah.
God, this might as well be Ireland.
Eric and Shelley have taken this little kid under their wing.
Oh.
So anyway,
that's kidnapping.
Both of them die.
Yeah.
They are buried together, united in death. Okay, so they're buried together.
So they got their wish, really.
They got their wish. 1 year later.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 year later. Opening a graveyard. It's raining. It's Devil's Night.
Devil's Nacht in German.
And we see a crow. What's the German for crow?
I don't know.
Einen Crow.
Einen Crow.
Einen Kronen.
Of a headstone.
Yeah.
And Eric emerges from the grave.
Like Carrie.
Like Carrie, but less like...
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
a visual medium.
I forgot podcast was a visual medium. Less hand out of the grave. He emerges, he returns to his old place, and he decides to take revenge on the boldies.
Yeah, good.
And not only take revenge on the boldies that violated his partner and killed her and also killed him.
Yeah.
He's going to take revenge on all the bad eggs in the town.
Good.
Oh, good.
He goes back to his apartment in the rain.
Ooh.
Now,
does it ever stop raining?
Never stops raining, you see. And this is really important because my gentleman partner...
Who shall remain nameless.
Who shall remain nameless. It is impossible in our relationship, if it is raining, for me to say it's raining. Because if I say it's raining, he will say 2 of the following things.
Right, go on.
If I say it's raining, he will say, oh, I hadn't noticed. Like Andy McDowell in Notting Hill.
Okay.
Or 4 Weddings and a Funeral. One of those films. I haven't seen them.
One of them.
Or he will say, in this voice, it can't rain all the time. Which is a quote from The Crow. Which makes me think that he was a big Crow fan.
Big Crow fan.
Now, he said to me this morning, before I left, he said, Rachel, don't make out like I was a big Crow fan on this, because I wasn't.
Huge Crow fan.
But he told me.
Was he wearing his trench coat and his eye makeup?
He was wearing his trench coat at the time, yeah. Hot. He told me that his sister had bought him like a gigantic A0 poster of the Crow, which he thinks he either gave to Dr. Cadwell or intended to give to Dr. Cadwell. So Dr. Cadwell can row in on this. So anyway, he comes back. He goes to the house. He sees all the detritus in the house, and he looks at the photographs and the wedding stuff and
Some
the
people
wedding
say
dress.
detritus.
I like to say detritus.
All right.
So he goes and he looks at all the bits and bobs and he remembers the wedding and everything like that.
So the wedding didn't happen.
The wedding didn't happen, but he remembers the night before. So he puts on the corpse paint.
Okay.
Yeah, he puts on the corpse paint.
Oh, that's just paint.
That's just paint. Yeah.
He doesn't come back looking like that.
No. He paints himself up. Now he's in the leather jacket. He gets his long leather coat because he wasn't buried in that.
No, okay.
Because you don't bury people in leather coats. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it doesn't happen.
Puts on the coat and then decides to go around, find every one of the boldies with his crow familiar.
Yeah.
And
Is that the crow's name?
Yeah, that's his name. Familiar.
Familiar the crow.
All right, familiar. And he's going to track down the gang with his bloody crow and kill them all.
Good.
Now, the gang is made up of 4 people, Benjamin. Do you want to know their names?
Go on, tell me more.
They're great
tell
names
me more.
now. This may
Ben,
be...
I would like Ben to guess them first.
Okay, Ben. So there's 4 people in the gang.
Okay.
Of course, they don't have names. They're not Benjamin, Michael, Rachel.
Yeah, it couldn't be normal. Are they similar to Eric Draven? Is it in the same vein?
I'd say one of them is almost certainly called Blades.
Okay. Yeah, Mick is on the right track. Okay. So
okay.
let's say Blades.
Shank.
Knives.
The Fist.
The Fist.
Is this like one of those moments like in Dodgeball where it's like Blaze, Laser, Blazer, one of these things?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but it's not unlike that. But they all have ridiculous names.
Go on,
go on, tell us, Rachel.
T-Bird.
T-Bird, yeah.
From Greece. That's a musical, lads.
Yes.
The Jets.
Tintin.
Tintin.
Or as the French say, Tonton.
Tonton, it's no you. Fun Boy. Again, that sounds like a Grinder reference. He's the one who killed Brandon Lee in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the one who fired the fatal shot, the actor. Who died, I think, years later from drug addiction.
Wow.
And I'm saving the best till last, lads.
Oh, very good.
Oh, good.
The last one is called Skank.
Skank.
Yeah.
Skank. If you name your child Skank, you can't expect them to, you know what I mean?
Is Skank a man?
Yeah, they're all men.
Okay.
Oh, well,
Americans often name characters things that are very funny here.
Yeah, Skank.
If you take a look at that Transformer there, Rachel, see that guy there?
This guy here?
That guy there, his name is Slag.
Slag, yeah, you know what I mean? So, Skank, I'm imagining him with a bag of cans.
Yeah. There was also a Transformer, I don't know why I'm talking about, there's a Transformer called Spastic, which is very impolite in the UK and Ireland.
That's on the nose.
Perfectly fine in America, apparently.
Oh my god, wow. That is awful.
Yeah, it's not great.
That is bloody.
Anyway,
that is bloody outrageous.
That is outrageous.
Back to the crow.
Does the crow go and reconcile with all these men and put them on the right path and give them better lives?
No.
What are you talking about?
That would be crazy. That would be a boring premise for a film.
So Skank doesn't live happily ever after.
He pops on his leather coat and his makeup like he's going to Fibber McGee's in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he heads out and basically knifes them, punches them. He's got kung fu skills, which I think may happen when you die.
In the grave.
But he's got mad skills with the Z. And he comes back and he beats them, and he has like almost kind of 90s Batman repartee with them, you know.
Oh, nice.
Kind of, yeah, no, less kind of less of that Batman and more kind of bants.
Does he have
mad pants?
Does he have a credit card with a little crow on it, and he whips it out when his sidekick tries to outbid him for a lady, and he says, "Never leave home without it"?
No, his sidekick is a crow.
Familiar the crow,
Robin.
yeah.
Hey,
yeah, very good. That is the low point in Batman's entire existence.
I think bat nipples might be the low point in Batman's entire existence.
Also we saw his dick last week.
Bat dick.
3 inches soft. 3 inches
Perfectly
soft.
acceptable. Perfectly fine.
Perfectly.
I'm not being involved in this conversation. I don't want Ben's mother
but
to hear
why,
this.
Rachel? Why, Rachel?
So anyway, he goes around and he dispenses with these 4
lads,
no
the
goods.
The 4 boldies.
One of them is dating. Remember, I told you with the little girl Sarah.
Yeah.
One of them is dating
her
mother.
Oh, her mother.
Oh, okay.
Who, as I said, was a drug addict.
It's about to get very difficult there.
And he doesn't kill the mother, and he tells her basically, you need to change your ways,
sort yourself out,
or I'm coming back for you.
Get yourself
so he's a bit of a crow of Christmas future kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So he goes home. He goes back to his apartment when he dispenses with him, and this beautiful scene. You see, he used to be in a band.
Yeah.
And this little girl can feel his presence, so she puts on the vinyl of the band. The band are called Hangman's Joke. It's a great name for a band, isn't it?
Just hold on a second. Ben, does Rachel need to explain what vinyl is?
I think it's some kind of old form of poetry or something like that.
It is, yeah. That's it, yeah, like Shannos.
Yeah.
So he goes to the top of the roof. He takes his guitar, his electric guitar.
Oh, yes.
He goes to the top and he starts shredding on the top of the roof. And the little girl's listening to the vinyl and she's like, is someone freestyling? And she goes up and they are united again. The next morning she gets up, her mother is making her breakfast and she's like,
her mother's fixed.
What are you doing? You know, what's this all about?
So it turns out that all drug addicts just need a stern talking to.
From a man and his crow.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. That's it. That's all you need.
Society's ills solved.
As I understand the nature of addiction to be, all you need is someone to say, listen, you need to sort yourself out. And you're grand then. You know what I mean? Like, that's addiction.
It's just a firm talking to.
So anyway, once he has dispensed with these 4 boldies, he decides to go after the Kingpin.
Oh.
And the Kingpin...
From Marvel Comics.
No, I should have chosen a better word.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
We were talking about...
I had no idea Vincent D'Onofrio was that big in the 90s. It's good to see that he had early work.
Last week. Yeah. So anyway, he goes after the top guy in the criminal gang. Yes. When he is dispensed with all the boldies, he gets the woman back on track with the child. Yeah. He decides to go after the head, the top guy, the top baddie, the top baddie, right? Mm-hmm. And his name is... Yeah. Top Dollar. Good name, isn't it? Top Dollar. And here's where the crow kind of starts to get a bit questionable. Because Top Dollar is the head boldy. Yeah. And his assistant henchwoman...
Oh, is she sexy?
She's a sexy lady.
Oh, good.
She dresses in a latex rubber.
Yeah, because that's what you have to do. You have to.
That's what you have to do.
That's how you know women are evil.
That's how you know women are evil. But anyway, he has this evil woman with him. Yeah.
Evil woman.
You see them engaged in an sexual act.
An act of coitus.
An act of coitus.
Very licking knives and that kind of 90s kind of stuff.
This is so edgy.
90s edgy erotica.
Everyone was licking knives in the 90s, Ben. You should have been there.
I think her name is Maya or something like that. But you find out that she's his sister.
Oh no!
Oh no! Boner into the ground. But she's very bright, you know, and she loves eyes.
Who, his sister?
His sister. All right. And when they send the henchmen out to do this, and people owe them money, she wants their eyes in a box. You know, she's one of these kind of creepy, latexy, sex with the brother kind of
creepy
vibe.
Creepy, latexy, sex with the brother, eye collecting. One of those types.
Those types.
Yeah, I know them.
You remember them? There's always loads of them in Fibbers.
I've been in Fibbers.
You've been in Fibbers. You know the type.
Oh God.
So anyway,
if Fibbers would like to sponsor the podcast, just down below.
Because Lord knows I sponsored them between 15 and 18. Oh God, don't say that on the podcast.
No, I had get them in trouble.
No, I had other things, but
just write down the number there so I can edit all this out later on.
She realizes that he has come back.
Who?
The crow, Eric has come back. But
how did she know the crow?
When he comes in and basically says, "I'm going to take you all down," and there's a big gunfight, and he doesn't die. Yeah. Nice. She realizes that he is invincible. Yeah. Because he's dead, but he is only invincible because of the crow. So the familiar is the link between the living and the dead. Exactly. Right? So if she can kill the crow, she sends him back. Now he's helped by a policeman. Yeah. Because at that time, you know, there had to be kind of a lovable cop.
At that time, you can trust the police.
At that time, you can trust the police. Oh,
take that, the police.
Take that, tribunals. So the little girl alerts.
What's wrong with Ben's face? Ben, what's wrong? You look very concerned.
I'm fixing a level. Don't worry about it.
It's okay.
Going.
It's just a film, Ben.
It's just a film. It's not real.
It's not real.
It was the incesty latexy lady.
Nobody died in real life. Oh no, wait, they did. So anyway, they go to the graveyard for the final scene. Yeah. So of course you have to be at the graveyard because if you're going to die anyway, he knows he's accepted his fate. Mm-hmm. He wants to go back to Shelley, but he needs to kill Top Dollar and his weird latexy collecting eyes sister or whatever. So they go and they have their final showdown, and she realizes, I'm going to kill the crow. When she sees Top Dollar is in danger, she kills the crow. She tries to kill the crow. The crow, of course, she strangles the crow, but in a final act of defiance.
Yeah.
The crow. Now, remember what I told you earlier? What did she like collecting?
Eyeballs.
He pecks out her eyes. He pecks out her eyes.
He pecks out her eyes.
Very good. Serves her right.
Pecks out her eyes. And of course, then the whole thing is resolved. He goes back, and then you see the final shot of him being reunited in heaven with his lady.
that's
It's
lovely.
lovely. It's
That's
really,
lovely.
really nice. So, I watched this as a teenager and recently watched it again as an adult.
Yeah.
And what I realised was that if you had a business in the 90s
Yes.
selling leather coats,
Leather jackets.
you must have rubbed your hands together, because every young fella I knew had a long leather coat.
Look, I'm telling you.
And sure, look, if they didn't have one then, they bought one when The Matrix came out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So there was like a 4-year period or a 5-year period where leather coats were at their peak.
Exactly. And then Smallville came along.
And Smallville came along, and that was more of a jacket.
A leather jacket more than a
A
coat.
leather jacket. But it is completely cringe. The whole film just makes you want to die inside. With the exception of...
Shredding on the rooftop.
Oh, apart from the music is brilliant in it. Not the Hangman's Joke music, but like Burn by The Cure. Oh, amazing classic song. But 9 Inch Nails and oh god, and the leather trousers and the shredding on the roof and oh my god, yeah. So this is why you should never look back, kids, because I had a memory. Now, Mick, have you any memories?
I have many memories.
Have you any memories of things that perhaps you watched as a younger man?
Oh, are you just...
I'm going to segue into
Are we
you.
segueing?
I'm segueing, yeah.
Segued you.
Traditionally, Rachel, I do the segues.
Yeah, I know. But
Traditionally,
I'm
I
a
do the
guess.
segues. What was your memory? It sounded like you were going to tell us something there.
I've decided to block it.
That's fair.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
I watched 1999's Dogma.
Oh, God.
And I'm not going to tell you the whole plot, but, you know, Jay and Silent Bob of Jay and Silent Bob, they are tasked with helping a woman who is the great grand niece of Jesus.
Yay.
To prevent 2 angels played by Miramax favourites Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Yay.
Yeah.
The Weinstein favourites, Miramax.
Weinstein favourites.
To prevent them from entering a church, because the church, Ben, they have been banished from heaven by God. And the church is offering plenary indulgences.
Could you explain, Michael, for those of us not versed in the Catholic faith, could you explain what a plenary indulgence is for the listeners there, please?
Well, then, it's a way of getting a clean slate for your soul.
Oh, that's good.
No matter what you've done in life, if you get a plenary indulgence, you have a clean slate.
Do you think Harvey Weinstein particularly enjoyed that plot point in the film?
Very good. I don't think he's a Catholic, Ben.
Yeah, he's of that faith.
I don't know what about him tells me that he might... What about Harvey Weinstein says he might not be a Catholic? Can't quite put my finger on it. So anyway, Ben, what stunned me about this film was how cool I thought Bartleby and Loki were in 1999.
Yeah.
Oh man, they were so cool. There is in the movie. There's a lot of pontificating in it. There's a lot of people just sitting around the table, spouting Kevin Smith's opinions about religion.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in a very witty, amusing way. Yeah. And also, personally speaking, Ben, I largely agree with Kevin Smith's views on religion.
Shame that.
But watching it again as an adult with my own opinions, it's a lot preachier than I remember it being.
Yeah,
it's very, very preachy.
Like Ricky Gervais's stand-up.
Yeah, it is like Ricky Gervais's stand-up, but funny.
Right, okay.
Take that, Gervais. Ben, I went to pick Rachel up today. And,
good.
When I went to pick her up, I realised I was wearing jeans, a plain tee, a hoodie, and I didn't wear my long black jacket because it's too warm.
Your long black leather jacket.
No, it's not a long black leather jacket. No, it's not.
It is.
I have but here's the thing, right? I'll show you both, and Ben will stick an image in the video.
I will.
I didn't realise, but bloody 19 years later, I went out of the house today dressed like Bartleby and Loki from Dogma.
Oh, it's almost like a subconscious callback.
I think, unfortunately for me, I still dress like what I thought a cool person in 1999 dressed like.
I am still wearing my corpse makeup.
Yeah,
shouldn't have got it tattooed.
It was absolutely horrifying to realise that. Also, Ben, do you know what was a really cool thing about the movie is Matt Damon plays Loki. And for the Marvel fans out there, a little throwback because he played Loki He played Loki in that Thor scene.
Yeah, in Ragnarok.
Yeah, the really interesting thing about this film, Dogma, came along in the late 90s, Ben, as I've already said, and Kevin Smith's contribution to popular culture is very easy to overlook these days.
Yeah,
because these days every film is quippy and every character is smart and ready with a one-liner. And I really noticed it watching this, that all of the one-liners that make the characters look really cool only work because the person they're speaking to is an idiot who delivers them an improbably perfect line back in order to zing off them. You know what I mean? And that seemed really cool in 1999. But now, everything's like that.
Yeah, most TV shows kind of follow the same format. And
I mean, you could argue the Marvel movies are like that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's the double header of Kevin Smith and Joss Whedon who are responsible for this happening.
Well, Whedon had such a huge effect as well with Buffy because he had the same quippy kind of thing, didn't he?
They're kind of a different quippiness. Often the quipper in Buffy is kind of a loser.
Okay, fair. You're Xander.
The quips are kind of self-deprecating, or Xander, the other characters think he's a dope or something like that. But in Kevin Smith movies, the quippy, that's the person who makes the quip, is always impeccably cool.
Ooh.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing is, Ben, looking back, because as we said, never look back or you'll turn to sand or salt, or your wife will go to hell, or
all those Bible Sunday schools wasted.
You'll get corpse makeup and a black leather coat.
Or Tom Cruise will fight you for copyright for Jack Reacher Never Look Back.
Is he currently doing that? Is he currently in a copyright battle?
That came out 3 years ago, didn't it?
I don't know. I think I've seen all of those films in the cinema.
Anyway, when I was a teen, Ben, I found Jay of Jay and Silent Bob very funny.
He was very funny.
And looking back on it with a modern eye, there is no way you would get away with that character now.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, Michael, because speaking of people who never look back, Kevin Smith is someone who loves to look back and quite often butchers one of his previous franchises with a follow-up. He is making a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It has been announced. So that character is coming back, but I don't know if it's going to be in the same vein. It will be interesting to see, won't it?
No, he is going to have matured, because there is no way a character who is that disrespectful to women could be a hero in today's world. And that's not my personal opinion, Ben. I'm just saying.
No, it's a fairly solid analysis of.
You wouldn't be allowed to show it in the cinema. There would be protests, and not protests like the Catholics last time. Protests from basically everyone.
From normal people.
Well, I don't want to call them normal people. Women mostly, I imagine.
Women are people too.
I got them. I got the whole gender.
I'm boycotting this.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, but having said that, though, it is still reasonably funny.
Yeah.
Did you laugh out loud?
I did a little titter a couple of times.
A titter will do.
Yeah, there were a couple of titters. It has Salma Hayek's second sexiest on-screen dance.
Okay.
Is that after From Dusk Till Dawn with the snake?
Obviously, yes. Rachel, surely you remember anything.
Surely you remember.
No, because
Formative.
I do not have a penis.
Oh, I see.
So
I imagine lots of ladies were influenced by it as well, though. It has her second sexiest on-screen dance. It has quite an amazing cast, because one of the lovely things about it is it has the departed Alan Rickman.
Oh, yes.
And he plays the voice of God, the Metatron.
The voice of God. Yeah.
That's not bad, Benjamin.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Was it The Expanse of Wingspan? That's not as good. It's nice to see Alan Rickman in as a purely good character.
Yeah.
He's a goodie.
He rarely gets that.
Yeah, because he's very cosy with his voice.
He's a good, concerned father figure to the main character, and he steers everyone in the right direction.
Yeah,
he's a bit sardonic. Yeah, he's a good egg, and it's nice to see
egg.
him as a good egg.
Good egg, Alan Rickman.
Yeah, it has one line that stuck with me for years and years after Dogma, and I don't know why, but Chris Rock. It is Chris Rock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hope it is. It is Chris Rock. Chris Rock is talking to the lead character, and he says, just one thing. He hates it when you call it mythology. He's talking about God, because someone calls it Christian mythology. And I don't know why, Ben, but that always stuck with me.
Yeah. You love it. You love an old mythology, Michael. Michael, I find it interesting this week, and Rachel, you can bear witness to this. Michael seems to have shot his own conceit in the foot this week, and instead of never looking back, you've kind of fondly taken a trip down Dogma Lane.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Like, I kind of enjoyed it. Bartleby and Loki aren't cool.
Right.
Bartleby and Loki aren't cool. They're Kevin Smith mouthpieces. Yeah.
In hoodies and black jackets.
Which is what you seem to be.
Which is what I have become. And the whole thing is very preachy. Yeah. And the dialogue, every piece of dialogue has a victim, basically.
Okay.
And I don't like that about it. But in terms of, if you cannot take it too seriously, it's an alright little film. It's not horrific. It's not the worst film I've ever seen.
So it's not like The Crow.
It's not The Crow.
Enough. Right.
Nobody gets up on a roof and does a shredding on a guitar.
Yeah.
Shreds.
No guitar solos.
Benjamin.
Yes.
What sort of thing shames you from your youth?
Basically any of the comic books that I bought from the time I was 13 to the time I was about, I'd like to say 16, but it was probably 19. It just, you're kind of, anything by Garth Ennis from that period is just
Garth
atrocious.
Is outside, Ben.
Garth's outside. Say what up, Garth. But yeah, I didn't go through, but before we did this, we've had this podcast idea for a while, Michael, this topic kind of floating around the ether. So I did do a little bit of research before I left the good Emerald Isle that I hail from. And I went through some of The Darkness. Do you remember The Darkness? The Darkness?
With Jackie Esposito.
Yes, with Jackie Estacado. But yeah,
that's what I said. Yeah.
And Justin Hawkins.
And Justin Hawkins is as a sonata-based rock singer. Yeah. Not a sonata. What's that one? Never mind. It was one of the soprano. Thank you very much. Right. Rachel. Thank you very much. Not quite there. But it's about a man on his 21st birthday. First of all, just to set this up, because I enjoy the way we've been setting up just how edgy things are. There's an orphan.
Oh, of course there is.
Edgy
His name is Jackie Estacado, okay? Yeah. When he's young, he's adopted by someone from the mafia.
Of course he is, yeah.
I shit you not when I say I think his name is Uncle Vinny. I think that's the name of the character in the
first name Uncle, in the
second
name Vinny.
Exactly.
Vincenzo, but you can call me Vinny.
And so he's raised as a hitman for the mafia. That's what happens to him. Okay.
That's very similar to my upbringing, Ben.
Yes. You are a hitman for the mafia that wears long coats and hoodies when you do a job. So anyway, what happens here is he grows up and he does the typical kind of 90s mob lifestyle where he sleeps with lots of women and he's a big partier and stuff like that. And then, as it turns out, on his 21st birthday, Michael, he becomes host to an ancient kind of primeval power called the Darkness. And the Darkness is...
a thing called love.
Just listen to the rhythm of your heart. There's a chance we can make it now. Yeah, anyway.
Sun goes down. A little thing called love.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Benjamin's and Michael's podcast. We're done now. We've peaked as people.
We were all visited by darkness.
But anyway, he inherits this power, and basically what ensues from there on out is just a gore fest in terms of comic book terms. There are a couple of rules for the darkness. It's almost limitless power, and it's this bunch of little gremlins and minion creatures that kind of run around and eviscerate people for you if you want them to, and it's all very edgy, very 90s. But the twist is he can never have sex again. And for
like
Playboy
many edgy people in the 90s.
Many people
for the Playboy character, that's very tough, because what happens is how the darkness is passed on. It's not unlike an STD, Michael.
I was just about to say that.
When a child is conceived by the current bearer of the darkness, that bearer dies, and the darkness has to wait until the next bearer turns 21. And they host, so it becomes kind of neutralized for a 21-year period when something is conceived. Why doesn't he
just have protected sex?
I'm
using this as a message.
Safe sex is important, everybody.
Safe sex was not important in the 90s to Garth Ennis, apparently, and he couldn't take the risk in case the condom broke or something like that. And
come on.
Ben,
come on now.
So does that mean that the mob killed his or lured his father or something?
Yeah, so his father was a previous... Yeah, so the previous bearer of the darkness was his father, who died after conceiving Jackie with a woman. And then she died.
Very good, Ben. Thanks for clearing that up.
She died. Sorry.
Now we know where we're going, right?
Then she died, and so he became an orphan. But it's just a terrible comic, Michael. It's all the women have very tiny waists. It was illustrated by Mark Silvestri. Very scratchy lines. Big bazongas. Rachel did the international symbol for big knockers there. She air squeezed. So they all have tiny waists, big eyes with lots of mascara seems to be built in. At whatever hour of the day they wake up, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. They all walk around in lingerie all the time. It's very 90s and very cringy. There's only so many times you can. It's very much the same as what you were saying about Kevin Smith, because all the little minions are quite quippy. All the little monsters, the Darklings, are quite quippy, and they all call him like boss, and they make little jokes about it. And it's like, oh, please let me eat him, boss, please let me eat him. And he's like, no, don't eat that. And it's very quippy and kind of early Deadpool-y kind of stuff. And it's just awful when you go back to it. It's just like, oh God.
It was it famously did crossovers with Witchblade, didn't it?
Yes, Witchblade was the counterpart. It turns out that Witchblade and the Darkness are two sides to the same coin. She's the light, and no, sorry, that's wrong. So there's two forces in the world. There's the darkness, and then there's the Angelus. The Angelus is for the light, and the darkness is for the darkness. And then the Witchblade is the balance between the two. I got the Angelus reference. I just wanted to finish up the podcast. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of time because of the Angelus. It's time to go to mass. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have? What salty nostalgia goggles do you own?
Ben, what?
What things did you love when you were younger that just have not aged? Have aged more like cheese than wine in pop culture? Let us know down below in the comments.
Well, then I'm glad you asked.
Oh no.
The Generation 1 Transformers cartoon, not good to go back to.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all from us. We are on Instagram.
Ben,
we are on YouTube.
Massive
thank you to Rachel for coming into the tiny room and putting up with the pair of us yet again. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. Give us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. Hopefully the audio's all right this time.
Down below.
Down below, yeah.
Comment down below. All right. See you later, guys. Bye. Oh, don't forget iTunes. We love iTunes. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.